This is my never-ending quest to catch a hatchery steelhead in Washington. This will be my 5th time fishing this river, and it's getting toward the end of January. This river is supposed to have a hatchery steelhead run and then a pretty good wild steelhead run. From the people I've talked to, I guess the hatchery steelhead run on this river hasn't been so good the past several years, but the run of wild steelhead, it's still pretty early for that, but it's supposed to be a really good run of wild steelhead. And I've probably put in 30 hours of fishing on this river. I've caught one small wild steelhead. And that's been my only steelhead in Washington so far. You know, I moved out here, and everything I had read before moving out here had me thinking, wow, December, January, I'll be able to catch my hatchery steelhead to keep, and then March, April rolls around, I'll be, you know, fishing for wild steelhead. But it's just been a steep learning curve, and the rivers are bigger than I thought. But I really like this river. It's the perfect size. It's got a familiarity in terms of how it feels based on what I had done in the Great Lakes and fishing in Michigan. But I'm just always amazed. You know, it's a Tuesday morning, and I'm driving up the river, the road that parallels the river mostly, and I haven't seen anybody else fishing yet, but I've seen a herd of elk, and it's just a cool place. I probably won't say what river I'm fishing, just because it's a smaller river and really doesn't need any more attention. Not that it seems to be too overpressured, it doesn't. There's a lot of access. But it does have a hatchery on it, and based on my previous trips out to this river, I think a good strategy is to just start up near the hatchery and work my way downstream. We had rain, I don't know, maybe about a week ago. The river peaked, and it's just looks to be about perfect conditions based on what people have told me and what I've seen the last several times I've been out here. I've fished it anywhere from 800 CFS to 250 CFS, and it's, as of yesterday, it was around 500 CFS, so there's no rain in the forecast. It should be just a really nice day. It looks like they had a pretty hard frost overnight here. But I'm just about to get to the hatchery, and still haven't seen anybody else that's looked like they pulled off the fish, so we'll give it a shot. Well, I just came straight to the place where I caught the steelhead last time I was out here. There's nobody fishing here, and the water's lower than when I was here before, but the visibility looks pretty good, and it's a pretty comfortable morning, and we'll give it a shot. Well, I didn't hook anything at the first spot I tried where I caught a fish last time I was out. So now I'm at the spot that probably I've heard the most good things about. It's a pretty obvious spot, and it'll be the first time I've actually fished it because I can't believe it, but there's nobody here. So I'll run the camera a little bit and hopefully get into my first hatchery steelhead out here. Well, it's a absolutely beautiful day. I've been out here about 2.5 hours now. Haven't hooked a fish. I just don't think there's many fish around. I've seen a couple coho, old ones. No one else fishing. It's like I moved all the way out to Washington for this. I don't know what to think of it, to be honest, but I'm hoping to be able to get into some of those big wild fish that are kind of the legend of the Olympic Peninsula. But I have just not had much luck with the hatchery run. I've not really fished something like the boga shield, which is supposed to have a good hatchery run. But man, it's like sometimes I don't know why I'm steelhead fishing. Could be doing anything else, but yeah, I spent 2.5 hours and it was like nothing. So it is fun, and the sun's coming out, and it's not so bad. I just can't believe there's no one else fishing, and I've tried what's worked for me in Michigan, what I caught that first steelhead on about a week and a half ago. You know, the people that I've talked to here all swear by this 14 and 16 millimeter pink cerise soft beads. Just ran that for about a half hour and a touch of fish. But it's really peaceful out here, and I'm sure it's colder in Michigan than it's probably close to 40 degrees here, so just kind of puts everything in perspective. But it does make me wonder what these fisheries used to be like decades ago, 100 years ago, and how much they've changed and what direction they're headed. I've kind of fished out the hatchery stretch of the river. A little bit downstream is pretty steep-walled canyon. It's hard to get down to, so I'm gonna bounce downstream about 5 or 6 miles, see if those elk are still around, but also see if I can get into some fish. But the sun's coming out, maybe that'll warm up the river. I don't know how cold it is, but anything would help at this point. Well, my plan is to cross the river and fish from the other side. I did this once before when the water was quite a bit lower, but it still looks like I can cross. Just gotta remember where I came in at. Sweet. That was pretty easy. One of the last times I fished this river, I was able to cross and fish this hole, and I had a bite. I missed the same fish twice, so it's cool to be able to get back to this side of the river and give this hole a shot again. So much of what you hear since I've been out here has been pretty negative, and I've been trying to approach my choosing to move out here and experiencing these fisheries, tried to approach that without letting those thoughts of other people influence my opinion since I've been out here. But I don't know. I guess time will tell. I think I say this about every spot I fish on this river, but it's like if I can't catch a fish here, I should just quit. I don't know anything about steelhead, but this is a spot I haven't tried yet. Kind of a bushwhack to get in, but give it a shot. Just always moving my bobber. Try to find that right depth. I really don't usually spend too long on a hole, especially where I grew up fishing, because it seemed like once you figure out how to catch a steelhead, if they're in the hole, you'll get a biter. Here it just seems like there's not as many fish around. Well, I've been at it for 5 hours and 45 minutes and I still haven't hooked a fish. This is just one of the most beautiful holes in the river. I haven't had a bite in it. I've fished it every time I've come to this river. But we'll give this one a shot and maybe another spot, and then if it doesn't pan out, I'll have to call it a day. It's turning into a typical steelhead fishing in the Olympic Peninsula trip for me. Well, like normal, I didn't hook anything. Really looking forward to a beer and a pizza at Bar Hop in Port Angeles. Well, that's a wrap for today. I gave it all I could. Mostly fished beads. Oh, I only fished beads. But I I don't really see any evidence of any steelhead today. I saw 3 other guys fishing. I didn't talk with them, but just seems slow. You know, it's January 25. People I've talked to said it's still early, so it can't be any worse than this for me. But it's a really pretty day to be on the river, and you know, the whole time I'm fishing, I'm just thinking, what am I gonna do next year this time? Because I really don't think my time's best spent on the Hoko. I've learned some good water to come back to in the future, but it's just, you know, based on my experience and having caught a lot of steelhead in Michigan and other places in the Great Lakes, you know, it seems like if they're there, I mean, you can eventually figure them out, get them to bite, and that's the biggest issue, is being where they are. And as far as I can tell, I'm not seeing fish roll. I'm not really seeing any evidence of fish around. I'm not seeing, you know, a big thing out in Washington, it seems, as people gut their fish or even fillet their fish on the river. I'm not seeing carcasses. I'm not seeing eggs. I'm not seeing anything. So, like I said, I think it's a good learning experience this December, January on the Hoko, but next year my time's going to be better spent elsewhere.